Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dream. I am with your Sensei Al Bob. I'm here to tell you a story. So, billions of years ago, our spirit came awake. The spirit is an illumination of the reflection of love's co creation. And we were given a avatar, a body. But that body was, Adam. And, Adam point one, right? Because for a good million years, we kept having reboots of Adam. I kept putting Adam ourselves into environments that, tested the understanding of love's co-creation. And so here we are today, millions of years later, and we're still right where we were, right? And you have all these religions going on about God's will. Well, no. God was the burning bush, right? Moses, burning bush, right? Moses asks burning bush, well, who are you? What's your name? You want me to do these things? What are you? And the burning bush said, I am not. He didn't say, I am who I am. That's what Popeye says. He said, I am a work in progress. And the tribe of Israel is my mirror, my reflection. I see what I'm doing. And you look at the Old Testament, and, that God was a pretty radical God because it was a reflection of what humans were doing. And so here we are, just doing more of the same. Wars everywhere, famine. As of May 18th, this is my fourth year for doing this. I have over 2,000 shows, right? And they're all up there. I don't, take them down. There are a lot of people, they've had a YouTube channel for like 15 years and they have four shows. And my shows, throw a dart at it, just pick anyone, you know. Some may be better than others. They're definitely different formats, different subject matters, all the rest. But very much they're coming from the place of love's co-creation. It's coming from the dynamic of the, I am a shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist. Right? And you go, what the heck is that? Right? So I am not a shaman, I'm a shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist. So shaman, shamanic, right, is my frame, my window. We all have a worldview. Right? And the shamanic worldview is that we're all connected. We're all our relations. Jung talked about the collective unconscious. That's who we are. We're all love's co-creation. We're not individuals. We're not single sacks of mud, who run around doing stuff. That's just our avatar. We're not even our soul. Our soul is just, in our pineal gland, it's just the server, bringing the information back and forth from our Akashic records into our avatar. And what we are is our spirit, which is housed in our sanctuary of our own choosing. Some people call it heaven. I've been writing novels in the last 2 years. I've got about 8 of them, and 5 are in a series, and I have 3 of them. One of them pretty much complete. The other 2 somewhat complete. If you want to see them, get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Buddy, I will send you them. Buddy's asked me, and I have to go to I've tried to do it. I have to go to my internet guru, right? And I am down to $7. The only reason I'm out and about is because I have to go have my eyes operated on today. and I could have no one, drive me here. But so I'm driving here. My eyes are actually working better than they have the last month. So I got to see if they won't blind me again, because they did the last procedure and I couldn't see for 3 weeks. So and after I had it, man, I really couldn't see. So if they do the same thing they did to me last time, and I'm gonna have to drive home 50 miles without being able to see, and that's because I have no money, and that's because, come on, you guys need to put something in my PayPal. I have $7 left in that account, right? After paying some bills. And it was great that, I have to thank the people who put things in the last few weeks. There's 2 of the 4 who normally do it. The other 2, I think, I don't know, might be worse off than me. But, and, we were experiencing all the, we had the pandemic, and we had Donald Trump, Obama, hope. Oh, yes, we can. Well, there was no hope in Obama. He was just another company man. He kept the wars going. He killed more people than Georgie Porgy. So we are the deciders. This is supposed to be a democracy. A congressionally, constitutionally. Mechanism that we decide. Forget that. Until and you're not going to change anything by having a house party in the Capitol. I mean, that was a joke, And it was done. It was, they let those guys in just so they could have this soap opera on TV and have hearings and blah blah blah. These poor kids get whacked last week. And, within minutes, Ted Cruz from Texas, I think he's from Texas, anyway, goes on and goes, oh, well, this is because of the Democrats, and they're going to use this to take your guns from you, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Really? And so, we spent all these billions, Bill Clinton, militarize the police forces. I'd rather have Barney Fife. Barney Fife would have gone in there, with Andy and talked them down, But those, militarized 20 or so guys went on the other side of the door. They heard the kids whimpering and crying, and he didn't shoot them all at once. He was shooting them one at a time, blowing them away. And these kids were because this is a war weapon, they were so obliterated that they couldn't be identified. The parents, gathered at the convention center in that little town, and everyone had to get a DNA swab. That's because that's the only way they could tell who those kids were. For hours, those poor parents didn't know whether their kid was dead or alive. Because there wasn't a body that they could really identify. Those parents. If I was a parent of one of these, I mean, say this now, I couldn't tell you what I was doing. If I could even. I mean, I didn't have kids for this reason. What I did do was, instead of being holier than thou and going on about, every life is sacred until they're born, and then they're worthless pieces of crap, and we just throw them away and put them in jail and let them OT and not, hold the people who own the corporation of those drugs, I mean, come on, it's right in our face. We see it every day. We do nothing. And the littlest thing you could do is be nice to each other. But you don't even do that. Now I go out in the world, I am nice to everyone, right? And most people, like the other day, this guy, a gigantic truck, was trying to pull in this gas station. And he did his best not to get in the way of some little car. He let everyone go before him. Right? So after I got my gas and I was pulling out, I stopped and I said, buddy, you did a great job. And he thought I was going to curse him out because the big truck was in this little gas station, right? And no, I said, you're being a good human being. You're being considerate. You really, so you help all these people. And so, honey bun, can I have a box to go? And a little more water. So I'm at another diner that has Wi-Fi within the direction of where I was going. I was going to go my regular place, which is maybe 20% cheaper and maybe about 10% to 30% better in quality and taste. But they were closed for some reason. So anyway, I was on earlier this morning, and I was out in the woods, and I saw Wi-Fi, so I jumped on. And a friend, one of the cadre, called, and and she's doing her best to try and be better and better. Right? She is definitely going beyond just being the cadre. She's being one of the adepts. She's doing her best, but it's really hard. If you spent your whole life being oppressed. Thank you, Jeff. Do you have a bag for this so it doesn't go all over the car? So, this will make a fair soup. If I add vegetables, things to it, it will be. Hard to chew up that bacon when you have no teeth. So, so I was talking to her, and it's hard because she wants, the text I would use, the two texts I start my adepts off with. It's A Course in Miracles, and the Celtic Runes by Bloom. Bloom is my favorite interpreter of the runes. He does a very nice job, and he has many different books, right? Many different flavors of how to look at it. Thank you, dear. You're the best. And so, here we are at a very interesting time because the unipolar power structure of the hidden hand is a really good book called The New World Order. There are a lot of books on it. So that's, I'll bring it next time. I'll do a show. And basically, he gives a very nice outline of what's been going on. It's been going on forever, and Joseph P. Farrell has tons of books, all about, this whole thing. Same with David Icke, and these folks, they do their best to be as scholarly as they can, to be as, spiritually connected as they can, and try to give the human race support when one was coming down. Well, what's coming down is, it's like you can't stop it, you can't change it. By stopping, like that moron in Canada, we're not going to have handguns, so we're going to take back all the automatic weapons, blah blah blah. No, it's like, forget that. It's not the gun, it's the people. It's what's being done. I mean, why? Here's a good question for you. What is the most armed country in the world, right? Here, is it America? 300 and something million people and 400 and something million guns. Is America per capita the most armed country in the world? No. You know what the country is? Sweden, right? Because every person in Sweden, right, every citizen, they get to be 16, they are in high school, they go off and spend a year being military trained. I mean, everyone in Sweden is in the army because they didn't join NATO. They were a very formative military force. The whole country is the army, right? And they have a pretty healthy indigenous military industrial complex themselves. Saab makes really pretty interesting aircraft and tanks and etc. And so Sweden, every citizen goes off to military, and the first thing they get is it's like, I don't know what kind of gun, but an automatic handgun, like a Glock, right? And they each get a militarized long gun, like an AR-15, but more military than that, right? And each person gets that gun, and every gun has a serial number, and that serial number gets attached on a database to that individual. So that gun gets used for anything other than its military use. They come looking for that person. So everyone has a gun in Sweden, and they've all been highly trained how to use it, and they keep it for the rest of their life, right? And they're responsible for it, right? And so there are no mass killings in Sweden, period. Everyone has a gun. Everyone has, lots of bullets, but every gun is ID'd to every person that has that gun. So there are no mass killings, There are no babies being shot in grammar school. This is all being done as a soap opera to your emotions. I mean, everything that's being done is scripted. Every war, every economic crash. I mean, listen, we have had a bull market for almost 30 years, and then all of a sudden, we're having economic crash. We have no money. Why didn't we crash? All the 20 years of war, and we're all upset about Russia going into Ukraine. Well, Ukraine and Russia's had a relationship. They're like cousins. Russia was the Ukraine, right? And so they go in, and when the Iron Curtain fell, George H. Not 1 inch, and so every freaking country that was in the Russian sphere of the Soviet Union, goes into the Poland, Latvia, you name it, go into it, and Finland and Sweden, which are right on the border of Russia, they stayed neutral, right? And Sweden understood this. World War II, they were neutral, and they had a kick-ass army, so the Russians and Germans never went at them. Finland, the Russians and Germans went at them because, but they were crazy enough people to fend off the both, right? And so the bottom line of Russia going in there is that for 20, 30 years, 40 years after the fall of the Iron Curtain, we have been basically buying Russia off, right? Giving them a lot of money, letting them sell their oil. They got more stuff than anybody else: more oil, more gas, more gold, more diamonds, more iridium, more, coal, more everything, And so the unipolar power structure, to be, being, made, not just, the hidden hand, but to be the made man of that, has to get rid of Russia, EU, the United States, Canada, China, Japan, and throw them in the dumpster, just like kind of what South Asia is, and India and Africa. And so everyone is going to be thrown in the next 18 months, by this time next year, if things going the way they're going, 1 billion people will have starved to death, right? And it won't just be in Africa and Mideast and South Asia. It's going to be in every country. In Europe, they'll be starved to death. In America, they'll be starved to death. And we live on a planet of plenty. There's enough for everybody. Hello, Sandra, darling. So, last night I have some new friends, and one lady's a kick-ass lawyer. She scares all the male lawyers around here, and she just loves, pulling their chain. And there's a woman who's a really, and she's like Midas, whatever, and she does all these cute little stores, and every one she does is popular and successful, and she does it as a cultural thing, to build community, right? And the third one is the best horse. This is kind of this part of Tennessee. There's a lot of cattle and a lot of horses. It's a very horsey neck of the woods. We're just below um, where not it's in Arkansas, the place where Mitch McConnelly's from, um, where the horse breeders are. So there are a lot of horse breeders, a lot of horse places that take the horse and it's like works them out and gets them ready to either breed or race, right? So she's one of the better trainers. So these three women, all top of their game, and I went to this party. One of them took me there, and I brought, I cleaned out my refrigerator and brought that, and there were, about maybe 8, 9 people there, and what was really interesting was, so there was no radio, there's a little bit of music, and we weren't doing anything to change our mental apertures, no booze, no that. We were just talking, and the people had nothing to really talk about left, leaving those three ladies and me. And we had the best time. This lady's house is way out, way deeper than my place. And she turned all the lights out, and the stars were really super clear at night, and the stars were out in full moon, no moon, and we told ghost stories, and we all had ghost stories, very paranormal. Everyone had paranormal experiences, right? And we talked about it, and we realized that we all had these things, and we all came from different avenues, types of life. None of us came from there, right? So it was quite. So we talked and talked and talked and talked until the sun came up. Right? So I haven't really slept. I mean, I waited so I could find my way out of there. At night, I'd still be trying to find my way out of it. So that's my experience. Is that I've been watching this constant de-evolution of the social net. I mean, in the United States, so why does Sweden not have any? Everyone's got a gun, more than us per capita, and they don't have any of this, right? They have all the bullets in the world, and why? Why is this? Because Sweden takes care of its people. They have they have good job, good house, good feeding, good education. You can get all the education they want, and they don't get charged. So they have no worries. There's no fear. My adept who was talking to me earlier in the beginning, the first show this morning, and she said her big problem was fear, right? And that's why those guys and gals do these, murders. Now, I'm a I'm a hankering that these people are manipulated. They're all somewhat of a version of the Manchurian Candidate, or the soap opera of it all, right? And so, I got to be there. Yeah, so I got about 10 minutes left to do this. I have to get to the hospital, get my eyes worked on. It'll be interesting driving home blind, but I have faith that I'll do it, so no problems. Right? And even though I have $7 in my bank account, I have faith in that you, the audience, will put something in there. And it's really interesting how they don't get rid of me. They just keep no matter how many people, become subscribers, I never get above 500, right? And as Buddy says, that means I'm doing something right? So what I want you, other than send me some money to my PayPal and get a hold of me, PayPal will say, who do you want to send it to? The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Right? Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And you guys can get a hold of me there and go on about anything. Buddy does, and And that's another thing. And there are a number of my adepts who they can only get a hold of me because they're in foreign lands um, on my Gmail. And sometimes they don't have access, and I don't block them. It's just like it's the magic Ferris wheel of the internet for Sensei Al Bob, and that's okay. That's what it is. It's one of the trials and tribulations that makes us strong and a good cadre, right? So um, I want you all to go into meditation and every day and every way and take the piece of the world and make it stronger through love's co-creation, right? By being your best in the moment, every moment that you're aware, you're being your best. See that clearly, right? And go up and do like those three ladies, right? They all did not have a lineage of doing that. The horse trainer lady, who's like one of the best in the country, her daddy wasn't a horse trainer, her granddaddy wasn't a horse trainer, none of the above. Like she came Kentucky, that's the place. She came from Kentucky, and they were like poor tenement farmers and coal miners, right? Not horse trainers, right? And she is one of the country's best, right? She made herself that, right? She did, right? By being her best. The girl who's like got the Midas touch and all these little businesses selling clothes and incense and perfumes she makes and all kinds of other stuff. She does it because she loves doing it, and her intent of being her best makes her successful. This lawyer was probably the best lawyer, but if you talk to the boys, they don't want to even talk about her. But you look at her record, she's not a drunk like most lawyers are, and she is like attenuated to real specifics, and she has some real, like she's one of this country's, if not the world's, foremost lawyers in admiralty law. And when she said that, I started ripping on admiralty law. She was, wow, you know about it? I said, yes. Admiralty law basically put in place the fact that the king owns everybody. Us, meaning we have no constitution, we have no freedom. We're all under admiralty law, right? Go look up Catherine Austin Fitz. She'll point you down the rabbit hole of economy and Mr. Globaloni. So, what do you guys feel? So it was so energizing last night. So basically, those other 5 people who were at this party, they left by 9 o'clock. And we just talked the night away till the sun. We did, the sun's coming up, and we go, wow, boy, time goes by when you're having fun, right? It really was. And like I said, we weren't drunk. We didn't do any alcohol or drugs or anything. We just, the horsey girl has connections to the cows people. So she had some really amazing filet mignons. And so she's a big griller. And I made, I brought, like I said, I emptied my refrigerator out. I had, this box of old pancakes that I had from a week ago that was been soaking in sour cream. And I had some macaroons, right, that were starting to turn hard. And I put the pancakes, and I'd stuck them, I took them through my refrigerator, and I saw that they had been stuck up in the freezer box, and I took them down. They were like, hard. So I basically took that and put it, we drove over to where the party was. It had been out from being in the ice box for, maybe 2 hours. And so they weren't frozen, but they're pretty cool. And so I threw the macaroons into the microwave, right? And at first I put them in a plastic bowl, and I had a thing of guacamole that was like, starting to mold on the edges, and I kind of scraped that off, and I kind of mixed that up with the cookies, and then threw them in the microwave, and just zapped them for maybe a minute, right? So kind of, and the cookies had chocolate on the bottom, right? So they're covered in a guacamole, and then I put them in a bowl, and put the pancakes and sour cream that was, really cold, and mixed it up, and then had another like half a cup of sour cream that was nice and cold, and mix that in there, and then sprinkled cayenne pepper on top, and put them on a plate, and gave everyone a fork and a little plate so they could scoop up. And when they were looking, what is it? Oh, I can't eat that. I said, come on, this is the new world. This be adventurous. And I took it, and they all had orgasms. This is amazing. I said, I can't believe this. I said, what did you? What is this? Chocolate, coconut cookies, frozen pancakes with sour cream, and guacamole and cayenne pepper. So it was cold and hot, chocolatey, super sweet, coconutty, and cayenne peppery. And it just and kind of that oily smoothness of the guacamole. It was orgasmic, right? So that was one thing I made real, mashed potatoes. Chopped them all up, boiled them up, chopped them up again, and then added like a pound of butter and the other half of the cup of cream. I mixed it all up, right? And put garland, onions, the stringy onions, and more cayenne pepper, right? So that was the two things I made. And they were like, oh, and the steaks were, and so I didn't, have teeth, but these were so sweet. The steaks were unbelievable. So I kind of munched them, and I kind of squeezed all the goodness out of them, and so the grizzly, oily, fatty part was still left. And the lawyer lady has these four gigantic, one of the gigantic horse dogs, the dogs that are like really gigantic, like they on all fours. They're 4 feet up in the air. The biggest dog there is, and so we're eating over there. These dogs were on the other side. She had them fenced in, and they jumped over the fence. They were so wanting to be with us. They're kind of killer dogs. They came over, and in my plate, I had all these little nuggets of steak that I chewed on. So it had my chewiness, goodness, and all the other things we were eating infused in the steak, and I was giving it to the dogs. And I became, the lawyer lady, she hates men, right? But she likes me because she goes, I really like you because you're smart, and you're not trying to prove you're smart. I mean, you're smart because you don't have to prove it. And we have these great conversations when it's not a competition. We are just like having a great conversation. I haven't had a conversation like this because the girls were cooking on the steak for the first 40 minutes, and the lawyer and I was doing, and she was watching me do this stuff with the macaroons, and she was this great cookie. And so, what are you doing? What? And how? And and I kept like I that cookie. I took the cookie, I kind of scooped it up in the avocado nest and said, "Here, try that." And she, "Wow, that's amazing!" I said, "Wait till this whole thing is put together." And so, so we talked the night away, and everyone talked about their experience, their paranormal experience, and everyone had one. It was truly amazing, which means everyone does have one, right? So let's see, how are we doing for time here? Yeah, gotta go. So come on, guys. I really, 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 really would appreciate having more than $7 in my bank account. Come on, something in that old PayPal. The Dude Awake, and go call other people who have money and say, "Hey, this is guy Dr. Al Bob, Sensei Al Bob, who is on Dreamy Dream. Go watch that and put some money. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. I mean, come on. It'd be nice if everyone who watches this, which is roughly about 500 people, would just put $10 in. I'd be set. And I don't like to use PayPal. Well, it works. You can use your credit card or just send it, or however you want to send it to PayPal, and they send it to me. It works. It always works. I've never had it screw up. I've never had someone's taking all my. People go, I can't trust anything. Come on. A lot of people have put money into PayPal for their Sensei Al Bob, The dude awake 42 at Gmail. Dude awake 42 at Gmail. Come on. You know, I hate being Jerry Lewis doing a telethon, but yeah, I'll do it. I'll be Jerry Lewis. Hey, Dean. So I'm going to say goodbye. Oh, it's getting to be 35:35. That's when I'm going to zip out. And I may get back to you later today. Right? So there it is.